Marvel's Falcon and the Winter Soldier has experienced both highs and lows over the course of its opening 3 episodes, but episode 4 is absolutely a clear standout, with Dora Milaje putting a deadline on Zemo's freedom while Bucky and Sam get closer to uncovering the whereabouts of Karli, plus John Walker growing increasingly insecure and erratic. This was where the series finally delivered on its promise. I'm Ewan, you're watching What Culture, and with me today to talk about episode 4 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is Amy Rapier.
Hello. How are you today?
Hello. I'm good. I'm full of the happy Zemo nightclub energy. They released the 1-hour cut of that yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
I couldn't believe it, logging onto Twitter and seeing that was trending. I was like, oh good, Zemo's dancing's getting the hype it deserves. And the headline was that they'd released a 1-hour version.
Yeah, I think the initial gag from that episode was maybe a little bit funny because it was so brief, but I'm here for the extended madness anyway. But yeah, opening thoughts on the episode, Amy, what did you think?
I really enjoyed this episode. I think I had the same problem that I've had with a few of the episodes so far, that some of the dialogue still felt a little bit on the nose, at times a little bit stiff, but overall, the themes of the episode and the things they started to explore, I feel like that's what we've been waiting for. So it was really positive to see it start moving in that direction.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's weird. I've got a weird relationship with the show where I'm like, every now and then it'll get to the meat and bones of what I'm like, yes, this is what I want this series to be about. I want it to be about dissecting the legacy of Captain America and what it means to be a national symbol and, you know, how symbols can be corrupted and absolute power corrupts absolutely and stuff like that. And we've gotten it in bits and pieces here. But finally in this episode, I feel as though they managed to marry not just the banter, lethal weapon-esque chemistry that we have between Sam and Bucky, but then also, the actual, the thematics, the heavy themes that we're getting to, which I really enjoyed. The episode opens up at first with Bucky and Ao back in Wakanda, where we get to actually see the kind of therapy he went through to get rid of the Winter Soldier programming, before, flashing forward and seeing more of their relationship. And I like how there's that kind of added baggage with Bucky in Wakanda now. He definitely feels as though he has, he should feel anyway, that he has, a debt of gratitude to Wakanda, given they, gave him sanctuary after the events of Civil War, and also because, he's now not plagued by, people can't just say a bunch of random words at him and he'll just snap like the Terminator, which is pretty good. But yeah, I thought that the Dora Milaje were really good in this episode.
That scene!
Oh my god, the scene was incredible. So yeah, we'll talk about that right now. We're gonna do this in a Quentin Tarantino-esque non-linear back and forth and just do it in different bits and bobs because that's the energy we have right now. But that sequence with the Dora Milaje coming to get Zemo and John Walker just coming in with all his bravado, just like, I'm John Walker, I'm Captain America. And then, Falcon's just like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
Susie went in for the tap on the shoulder. We knew it was all over for him. You don't do that. Also, the fact, just the amount of self-belief you have to go in for that. Like, these people are clearly having none of your shtick, and you're like, oh, don't worry about it, buddy. Go for a slap on the shoulder. Your life's being ended.
Yeah, it was great. And also the now iconic, or I hope will be iconic, arm decoupling that Ao does on Bucky. And just the look of just shock on Sebastian Stan's face is just absolutely wonderful. Just like, I didn't know you could do that. You could just de-arm me. How dare you just de-arm me? That's terrible.
Literally de-arm him.
The only thing worse than that would have been if she picked up his arm and then started beating him half to death with it. Like in Futurama when Zoidberg cuts off Fry's arm. But I thought that scene was definitely a highlight. And that is, we can use this as like a little kind of a segue to talk about John Walker, because before this, when Sam actually gets his one-on-one with Karli and we get to see more of, her motivations, and Erin Kellyman is absolutely phenomenal in this series. I really love her as an actor. And, she has the super soldier vials, which Zemo manages to track down and break, but then, as we kind of predicted a few episodes back, John Walker finds one conveniently left in the corner and weighs that whether or not he should use them, because, it's been pretty clear from the off that he is feeling very insecure and very overwhelmed by the responsibility of being Captain America and living up to the ideal of Steve Rogers. And what does he do? He uses the super soldier serum and proceeds to not live up to the ideals that Steve Rogers embodied. And
it's almost
crystallized.
Like it wasn't the serum. It's almost like it was more of the person all along.
And that's a great thing to point out as well, because when he's weighing up the conversation, and I like that what we've got with Wyatt Russell here is that you can still tell that there are threads of goodness in this man. And you know, he's weighing up the decision with Lamar. You know, he's being crushed by this responsibility in Mantle, but Lamar believes in him, and he's like, well, no, surely, you know, what the super soldier serum does just amplifies what's already there. He has complete confidence in this man that he's fought and served with, and unfortunately, it's just he's been completely crushed by this whole thing. And that confrontation with the Dora Milaje is what triggers him to take the serum, and then he just gets even more erratic, which then, of course, leads to the massive bombshell of the episode. And that's when Carly, I'm going to say unwittingly kills Lamar here.
I don't think it was on purpose. I really don't. From her reaction, from her face when he couldn't be woken up, it didn't look like that was her intention. To incapacitate him, definitely, but to kill him...
Yeah, no, it was a really dark scene, I thought, because it felt like, oh, we're all just playing superheroes here, and then remembering that actually, oh, there are lives at stake, and that just sets Walker off completely, and he goes and chases one of Carly's Flag Smasher friends and proceeds to pummel them to death with the shield, and I gasped. Reader, yeah. I gasped. I was shocked. It was such a good moment and one of the darkest MCU moments we've gotten so far. That shot of the blood stained on Captain America's shield. Walker has not only just committed something absolutely heinous, he has tainted the legacy of Captain America, and this is something that he did in the comics as well. He did accidentally kill I've forgotten the character's name now, but he definitely killed a character after he became Captain America. I think it might have been Professor Power or something. It's not the Power Broker, it's someone completely different, but he did beat them to death. And while I don't think this is, you know, this moment in the TV show is obviously way more significant than it was in the comics, because this is going to be what, you know, really forces him to question what he's done, at least you would think so. It's still massive all the same. So yeah, what did you think of that moment?
I think I have to agree. My mouth did drop open. I was fully gasping as this happened. But something that stuck out to me as well was that it was in front of civilians. It was out on the street. Everyone was standing around in a big circle. People were filming. And for someone who's so concerned with what he's putting out into the world and what his image is, in that moment, he completely lost it, because there was no holding back. He looked at people, he knew they were there, but that wasn't enough to stop him. As these people watched on at their symbol, a bit of a hero. I mean, we literally earlier saw someone come and ask him for an autograph. And then they're then having to see that very same man just a few hours later beat someone to death in front of them with the shield that's meant to symbolize a protector, someone who's there for the people, for the good, and he's literally using that symbol to do bad.
It's such a heavy, momentous moment, and there are all sorts of repercussions that are going to come from this. There are a couple of questions that I have that I'm particularly curious about. I think this is going to be, you know, the turning point for Sam in terms of him, you know, weighing up the responsibility of the shield and, you know, realizing that, you know, okay, maybe it wasn't the right decision to let go of it. Maybe, you know, it's time for me to step up and embody the shield, because he's already tried to negotiate with Carly. He understands that deep down, you know, she has the right intentions and ideals. It's just her methods are obviously not good. Yeah. And my other point on this as well is the US government going to double down and protect John? Because I think that's a potential avenue we could see here. Or will they disavow him? And I'm just so excited to see where all this goes, because Wyatt Russell has definitely been a highlight of the series for me. Yes. I think he's so good at, you know, he's not the exact John Walker from the comics, but he definitely nails down the idea of someone who, in the MCU, has seen Steve Rogers as this absolute icon. And instead of, you know, believing that he is outdated, you know, he fully cherishes the idea and the mantle of what Rogers has done. He just can't live up to it. So I'm really excited to see just what the hell he does next.
I am actually, as you said it, very interested in seeing what the government does with this, because I think if they do choose to sort of double down and back him, that will provide some wider commentary that relates to sort of the world that we're living in right now. So it will relate to some of the conversations that we had earlier about the state of things, like in the bank, things that reflect on us in the real world, that make us think about our situation. And it would be very topical, and it could be a good avenue to draw some real parallels to make people think.
Yeah, the impunity of American foreign policy and maybe some respects there I think will be very interesting to look at. And I'm also curious to see how this relates to the Flag Smashers as well, because this is, I believe, this is one of their second casualty they've incurred on the show so far. And I'm really curious to see whether or not we get more public support for the Flag Smashers now. I think this was the episode that everything really clicked for me.
Yes.
We didn't even talk about Zemo at all here as well, who I kind of feel like, before we wrap up, Daniel Bruhl, he's got some sort of Hannibal-esque kind of like Mads Mikkelsen quality to him here, because like he has a taste for finer things in life. Bucky did not care for his cherry blossom tea, but
no,
I'm just saying, it was there. I would have had some.
I'd be all over
him
that.
He's so weirdly just. It's not the Zemo of the comics, and
Yes.
I know that people have kind of taken issue with the idea that, you know, he's kind of this incarnation of the character isn't quite what it was in Civil War either. But I'm definitely here for it. And again, after he's destroyed the serum now, where is he going to end up next? That is another exciting thing to kind of maybe speculate on.
I did think that was a good moment for him as well. He obviously didn't kill Carly, but he had that look in his eyes that he would have if he could have. And then the stamping on the little vials, I thought that was a really powerful moment for him, and it did bring it all back to kind of what he's there for, because it's so easy to get distracted with his funny moments, his little dances, his blossom tea and things, because when it comes down to it, they've painted him as quite a charming character in a way. But then to bring it all back to the reality of everything worked in that moment for me. It reminded me he is a serious character.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot wait to see where this is going now. If it's all before, I was kind of like not entirely sold on the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I kind of felt it was repeating, you know, things we've seen in the MCU before. I feel as though it's definitely living up to those conversations that, you know, those hopes that we kind of had for the series going into it. But yeah, I want to know what you all thought of this most recent Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode down in the comments below. What do you think is next for John Walker, and do you see him hanging around in the MCU in the future after the series is done? I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts. But once you've done that, please be sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and to subscribe to What Culture so you don't miss more MCU content coming to your door every single week. As always, I've been Ewan. You can follow me on Twitter at EwanRuinsThings if you want to, and you can follow Amy on Twitter at
Amy Repair.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.